Hello guys! Well, guess what I'm covered with? Well, blooms and fragrance and beauty. This is good here. I'm enjoying being here. I should be working right now, but I'm not. This is everything. Let's take a look what did we have in bloom in the winter time. So this is my not collection update. This is my orchid flower tour. Let's give this extra name. Okay, we're gonna take a look at my orchids which were in bloom this winter season. Oh shit, you cannot actually see these bottom orchids. Oh, it's a little bit better now. This fawn of the shoulder is still not in the frame, but whatever. We're gonna take a look at these orchids because why not? They are beautiful. And if you're new to this channel, if you're here for the first time or just you're not subscribed, well, there is the option of subscribing to my channel, and also there is the option of following me on Instagram. Let's take a look at them. I love them. Let's do this. Oh. Beach. I have a paper with all the orchids which were blooming this season, but I cannot find it because this is not all of them. So I'm not gonna blob a lot about each orchid which we had in bloom because we have quite a lot of orchids here. I'm gonna blob a little bit less about those orchids which are already presented in a different video, like my blooming game order something video. If you wanna watch that, well, you can do that by clicking on the info card or whatever. Please, orchids, stay in bloom forever. These orchids here together, all of them in bloom. I should do that more. I'm just realizing that if I put all my orchids together which are in bloom at the same time, that makes a spectacular decoration piece. I'll leave this table like that forever. Okay, so the first orchid is this one, Dendrobium phalaenopsis hybrid. It's a noide, it's a pink hybrid. It has tinier pink blooms, but I cannot detect any fragrance, sadly. Well, the blooms are in that typical Dendrobium phalaenopsis hybrid shape, so that's one thing I like about them. But you know, as I told you in a different video, I bought them because of the very thick pseudobulbs. I like that, so you know. Actually, it was surprising to me that it bloomed with 3 flower spikes because it's rather after a stressful period. I think the root system is not so good in the pot. You can see that the new growth is not so big as the previous growth, so there is still some evolving and improving to do on the orchids and on my side. I think it's a little bit overbloomed itself because the root system is not that good and it did not overcome the stress yet, so I have a few buds blasting, which is not very good, but you know, the orchid wanted to bloom, I'll let it bloom because I like these blooms. The next thing which I'm gonna talk about is my Dendrobium Oriental Smile Fantasy. Well, I did a separate video for this dendrobium because this is my favorite dendrobium. It was on my wish list and I got it, and I love it because the color scheme, the color pattern, this gradient on the flowers is just very beautiful. Right now some of the blooms are already fading and wilting because you know it's time for that, and one of the new growth is already starting to pop up, so maybe I'm gonna do a repot video. We'll see how much time I'm gonna have on my hands. I'm really pleased about the fragrance also, but I'm not pleased about the fact that the fragrance is not that powerful. If this was filled up a smaller room, I would be really just happier, but that doesn't change the fact that this is my favorite Dendrobium nobile like ever. I love it. So there is my Dendrobium Spring Dreamer pollen, which is not here right now because it's hanged up in a kokedama style. Well, that Dendrobium is a little bit confused because it's blooming all year long with like 1 or 2 flowers at a time because that's what it wants to do. Like, no matter that there is the winter rest stage and blooming stage, and it doesn't matter to this orchid that I'm actually giving the right care according to the season. No, it just has blooms all year long and that's all. But I'm not complaining because with that orchid I can have blooms like at any point of the year. Right now I have some blooms on it and the fragrance is just mind-blowing. I love that fragrance because that was one of my first orchid fragrances which I smelled, so it's basically right now stuck with me. The white pure blooms are cute. Then there is my Oncidium pupuca Sunset, Well, the blooms are already fading away, and I think this orchid again a little bit overbloomed itself because after the blooming it was not capable of plumping back again the pseudobulbs because the pseudobulbs got really wrinkly when it started to flower. So I think that might be a problem in like the following years, that if it wants to create a fabulously huge flower spike, it will just overbloom itself and it will be really wrinkly. I really like the fragrance. Is this really artificial plasticky citrusy. I don't like the plasticky layer of the fragrance, but I like it in a sense that it reminds me of these orchid shows and stuff. So I have issues with this really messy, really messy display of flowers. I really would like to have more spaces between the flowers, like I said in my previous video, but you know, I cannot get everything at a time. And if you check this thing here out, this is a wilting flower. Well, it's a developing seed pod. I did it. I cross-pollinated some orchids, but it will be a surprise for the future. Now then, there was my Tolumnia Golden Sunset and my Tolumnia Pink Bright. Well, I already talked about them in a separate video because these were really cute orchids and I thought they will deserve their own video. So if you want to know more about them, check that video out. But I really like how tiny they are, and compared to the tininess, is that a word? Compared to the size of the orchid, the blooms are huge. If I have a shelf full of these big orchid pots, these 12 centimeter orchid pots, I can really easily just put these Tolumnias there and they will be happy there. So they literally take up no space. So I can like have hundreds of them and I won't even notice that I have less space. I really like the color of these blooms, I really like the shape of those blooms, and I finally rebloomed a Tolumnia, so I was really happy about them. Then there is my Phalaenopsis schilleriana, one of my loves of my life. This is a species Phalaenopsis. The shape, the color, and basically everything about these flowers screams to me that you must love me, and well, I cannot resist. I love this orchid with my whole extent of my heart. There is a fire burning in my heart which is fueling the love for this orchid. I love it so much. The little dots, that little pattern on the lip and on the petals, that is, or sepals, I think there are sepals, that is just mind-blowing. And also the modeling of the leaves, this orchid is everything. I love it. Well, also I have to tell you, the fragrance is just amazing. The fragrance is not that powerful that it will fill up any room, but if you stick your nose into the flower, the rosy fragrance is just so saturated that it will kick your ass. It's really interesting how this fragrance can be really not powerful and lingering, but at the same time it is just really powerful if you smell it from close. Now then, there was my Calicidum pileatum Jumbo Green Gold. I made like a separate video for it when it was ejecting the pollen. That's one of my favorite videos like ever. I love that video. Like I already said numerous times on this channel, I don't like it because there is no flowering state for the orchid. It's just one long state from opening to wilting, and I don't like that. But since one of my viewers actually got me the precious information, which orchids should I, which Calicidum types should I get to have a clear blooming period for my Calicidums, I might get a Clovicia or whatever, Rebecca Northern, or the Cycnodes Wine Delight. It's a love-hate relationship. Those flowers are absolutely huge. They are absolutely amazing, and I don't have to even think about this Catasetum like in the winter time because it goes into dormancy. So I just have to care for it for a half year and then I get flowers which last for like one day. I hate it, but I love it because it's so beautiful. I cannot decide on that orchid. Then there is my Dendrobium Blue Happiness. That is just a commercial name as far as I know. I don't know if it's registered as Blue Happiness or not, but or it's Purple Happiness, I'm not even sure. I think this is the Blue Happiness. It was just a rescue orchid for this year. That's why it's placed in a glass jar jar with some sphagnum moss on the bottom. Well, look at that, this is what happened. So after I saw that the new pseudobulb is growing so beautifully, I did not want to disturb the root system. I thought, okay, when the new growth will be growing with some new roots, I will repot it into a proper medium and proper pot. But then after this recovery, it's decided to bloom with 3 flowers. So I'm like, what happened? So okay, this orchid wanted to bloom. Who am I to not let this orchid bloom? This indigo color of the blooms is very beautiful. I like it. And I'm looking forward to the next years when it will have more than 3 flowers. And there is my Phalaenopsis sogogotris, this little tiny one here with these beautiful blooms. I love the color of the blooms and I love the actual size of the blooms. This is a miniature orchid, but actually on this orchid I have 2 basil keikis. So right now basically I have 3 or even 4, I think that's 3. I have 3 orchids in one pot, but it's one plant since they are connected. It was a recovery year the previous year for it. It decided to throw out like 3 spikes, but they were blasting because it was really stressed. Right now it's out of this stressy period. The roots are growing, the leaves are growing. It's a little bit still stressed because it's just out of the stressy period and now it's putting its energy into blooming this spike. So it's not the best blooming. It's getting better and better as I've seen it, and it will have a beautiful root system, I think, and a beautiful blooming next time. But there's the fragrance. It's dusty, it's dog breath. I don't like it. So I rather don't smell it because I don't like it. If I'm closer to the orchid, I can already smell it. So I'm just watching it from a distance because, you know, it's dog breath. Now here is my Paphiopedilum American hybrid, this alba-ish version, because as you can see this flower is rather greenish, yellowish and white. There is like no red pigment in it. I love the size of the orchid. I love these huge leaves and I love this huge flower spike. My dream was to let freely hang all over the place this flower, but then I decided to stake it because this flower is huge, and well, since it's huge, it has its weight. So I didn't want this flower spike to snap because of the heavy flower, so I decided, well, okay, I will stake it. What can I do? Overall, I really like how long it blooms. It bloomed like in December and it's still in bloom, and I'm just waiting here for this bloom to like wilt or whatever. Like, I'm not excited for this orchid to wilt, I'm just curious when it's gonna wilt. Here is my Vanda Princess Mikasa white, and it's just a huge question mark in my head. How did this happen? You know, my Vandas are not doing very great in the winter time because it's colder. There is not enough sunshine. And also when I was bringing back to my orchids, there was like a 2 or 3 week period when I kept my Princess Mikasa white in the darkest possible place in my plant grow room, whatever, in my sunroom. It was really dark because it was really close to the ceiling, so there is not too much light closer to the ceiling because there are no windows there. And after those 3 weeks, I put it back on its place where it receives some sunshine, but you know, it's winter sunshine, it's not that much of a big deal. And then it decided to bloom and decided to have a flower spike with 6 beautiful white flowers. I don't know how it happened. I mean, that Vanda is not working like a Vanda. You can give it less water, you can give it lower temperatures, you can give it lower amounts of sunshine and it will still bloom. So I love that plant. It will bloom no matter what. And the last orchid, which I don't have footage for, it's my Ludicea this color. So I got this Ludicea when I got it. Why I got it? Oh, I know. I got this Ludicea for my birthday and I was like, ooh, ew, Ludiceas. They are just wannabe orchids. I don't like them. I won't ever have / love a Ludicea. Well, I got it in bloom and then I saw those beautiful leaves. I'm not saying that I love it, but I like it. And that is a huge change from hating to liking. So yeah, Ludicia, this color, you got your point. I like it. So yeah, I wanted to do this rather quick video. I don't want to talk a lot about all of these orchids because I had a lot of orchids in bloom this winter time, you know, compared to how many orchids I have. Well, you know, it's easy to have 50 orchids in bloom if you have like 500 orchids in your collection. And I had 13 orchids in bloom. So yeah, you have to take a look at the context as well. Judging people of the internet. So yeah, this is my video for today. This is my orchids in bloom for the winter time for today. Whatever, I'm not even sure what I'm talking about here anymore. I have to do my work. So yeah, this is my video for today. And see you next time. No, you can like this video or you can dislike this video, whatever you want to do. Also, you can leave a comment down in my know it all section. Then you can subscribe to this channel, you can subscribe to my other channel, you can also hit the bell button so you get notifications every time I post anything. I think that's all for today. See you next time. Bye guys.